Thank you. I thought it would be nice to get started to really give each of you 2 minutes on an open mic to share whatever you feel like sharing. It could be just your name and locale. It could be some learnings that stood out from the level 1 around IFS. It could be something specific you're looking forward to exploring in this next phase. Again, no expectation, no requirements, just to make it a little orderly. I'm gonna read some names and you can certainly pass. No judgment here, okay? Maybe we'll start with the 2 colleagues of yours who joined for orientation but could be with us in level 1. Dominique, would you like to share some thoughts? Again, you can pass.
Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday. My name is Dominique Lamb. It's been a while, so it's good to see faces that I haven't seen in a long time. I am in Atlanta. I'm from the DC metro area. And I'm looking forward to phase 2.
Thank you, Dominique. Marcia?
Hey, everybody. Happy Sunday. I'm back and I'm excited to join everybody for this second phase. For some of you that I've had interactions with over the year, it's good to see you again. And for those of you I haven't, I'm looking forward to re-engaging with everybody. I'm in Virginia outside of DC. It looks like it's getting a storm. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm glad to be back.
Welcome back. And maybe I go to the 3 fellows who weren't at your orientation. However, they were there for the whole of level 1, and we're very pleased that they're joining us as fellows with all the responsibilities and privileges thereunto pertaining, as they say. Mona?
Hi, I'm Mona Lathy. I am living in Columbia, South Carolina. And gosh, I don't know what to share really. I don't know what to say. I'm coming out of a pretty challenging personal incident just this last couple of days. And I'm not fully in flow yet with y'all. I'm really happy to be here. I'm also not in the best headspace, so I'm hoping to get there as we shift together. So that's all I got right now.
Well, thank you for joining us given this challenging week, Mona. Thank you. Richard?
Happy Sunday, y'all. Richard, currently in Georgia. I'll be moving in a couple months, about 3 or 4, up to upstate New York and Buffalo. So I'm excited to see how this will go in a lateral country move and starting a doctorate program. So lots of parts activated today, lots of questions.
Thank you, and congratulations and good luck. Zinat?
Hi everyone, my name is Zinat Potia, and I am joining you from Cambridge, Massachusetts, where the rain is pitter-pattering outside my windows. I feel incredibly grateful to be part of the fellows, and right now just noticing some hesitation entering back into the space, aware of some of the turbulence in level 1, and I can just feel it getting reactivated slightly. But I'm also very curious as to how this part of our engagement will unfold. I've already started kind of some consciously and some unconsciously. IFS has entered into the work that I do, and I'm really full of curiosity to see how I can continue to do that more, and to be learning from all of you. I'm interested in co-creating this container, and my hope is that it'll be what it'll be, but my hope is that it'll have a different flavor than the level 1. I'll pass with that. Thank you.
Thank you for alluding to that, Zinat, and we will take a few moments to do that together, in a few minutes. And there'll be also an opportunity to decompress a little bit around the level 1 so that we can all start on the right page if we possibly can. Again, I want to remind you, you can pass if you don't feel like sharing. However, I'm gonna just, follow my screen as I continue introducing folks. Anna?
I'm supposed to introduce myself?
Just to say a few words if you feel like sharing anything, whatever
Oh,
comes to mind. It's
sounds
an
good,
open
sounds
mic.
good. Open mic, okay. I was not expecting to share, but hey, it's okay, so good. Um, I am excited to be here. There are parts of me that here seen at acknowledging kind of like the challenging nature of our level 1. And I'm really looking forward to create something different. And so I have parts that are eager to engage with each of you in a way that is going to be fruitful personally, but also as a community and as a group of people that are looking forward to bring IFS to our community. So excited to be here.
Thank you, mil gracias. Leah?
Hey everyone, my name is Leah Wolf and I am in northern Wisconsin. I think my like words at the opening of like, kind of stepping into flow or trusting in flow is just this coincides with me kind of being back in my community, starting to do work and starting to get a handle on what are the needs and just feeling like I got the parts who want to like say, these are the things that I want to do, and realizing like, oh, there's a whole flow that I am stepping into. So the flow of this and the flow of kind of everything that I'm doing professionally, I'm just going to trust that there is a flow there and hopefully not get too overwhelmed by letting go and stepping into it. Good to see y'all.
Thank you, Leah. And we're here to support each other for sure. Isaiah?
Hey y'all, happy to be with you all again. Yeah, feeling tired. As I said, our fourth child was born March 9th. So Cairo's in the world, changing our world multiple times over. But healthy and thankful for that. Looking forward to this different space, not just in terms of what this is, but in terms of the possibilities through making connections with each other through small groups, large groups, one-on-one. Y'all have amazing wisdom in how you're bringing IFS into new dimensions. And that's what I'm excited to hear more about. So good to see you all.
Good to see you. Marilyn?
Hello, I'm Marilyn Odom. I'm in Savannah, Georgia, and I am excited to be back with everyone because here I'm basically pretty isolated except for very few people. And so I'm excited about collaborating with each one because I think that my project, as it will turn out to be, is not what I envisioned at first. And so having this next step will be interesting, but it will also be affirming that it will be productive and that whatever I create to go out into the world will be what is needed. So I'm just happy to be here with each one of you because I always learn something from you. So I'm glad to be here.
Good to have you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kai?
Yes. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Today is a pretty eventful Sunday for me. So I just got invited to another event. And so I'm happy to be here. I'm looking forward to what's next. I know that this part of the fellowship will be a lot different than what we experienced before, at least based on what I know of from IFS, based on what I plan on bringing to the table, and a few people I've spoken to about the plans that I have. So hopefully that speaks to some of the parts of people in the room that are afraid of what's going to happen further. I'm sure it'll be a lot different. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm happy to see you all.
Thank you, Ty. Welcome. Megan?
Hi, everyone. It's nice to see your faces. My name's Megan. I use she, her pronouns. I'm in my last 2-month stretch of my master's program. So I'm just, I don't know if you can see it on my face, but I am wiped out. Anyone who's taken the NCEs knows where I'm at right now. I have about a month until the test. So I'm just getting ready for my boards, finishing a lot of my capstone classes, seeing a full client load, and kind of trying to keep my head above water. So that's just kind of where I'm at and what I'm bringing in right now, what I probably will be bringing in until June 17th, which is like a day on the calendar for me. Yeah, nice to see all of you.
Thank you. A lot on your plate, Megan. Thank you for joining us, and good luck with what's before you. Elise?
Yeah, hi, I'm here from Western Massachusetts geographically. Okay.
Thank you. Ricardo? You're still muted, Ricardo.
Thank you, Tufik, and happy Sunday to you all. Wow, it's yeah, I'm curious, open, and with the part of me a bit anxious about this new phase. I think since the time I applied for the fellows program, I realized that at the time I also started exploring psychedelic medicine, in a way of microdosing at the time. But I realized I've been realizing that my life has gone through a massive transformation, and at times it can be overwhelming. At times I am faced with exile parts of me that are still triggered in the world. And a week ago, I had an experience with my union psychologist, and in a group in which I was invited to be part of. And it didn't go exactly in the way I wish it would have gone. So I'm really hopeful that I'm gonna get more tools that would get me in better shape when I go back to them. I mean, it went well, I would say, but at times I felt because I talk a little bit about my ideas to them, but a part of me felt as if I am this I'm going to use an analogy of someone who said a Catholic walking into a Buddhist temple trying to preach Christianity. So in a way, it felt a little bit like that. And again, I hope that I can get more strength through this new phase. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. Something to think about for sure. Latasha?
Yeah, so I don't know, morning, evening, afternoon, the time is kind of shifting for me. Grateful to be here. I reside in the Maryland area. However, I'm currently in LA. And my share in is, grateful and feeling flexible. I'm going through a rough time, trying to support my family member. And I'm also feeling it and feeling parts of me in ways that I don't typically, experience suffering. And on my way out to LA this morning, so I'm here stuck in the airport, was delayed, diverted. There was a medical emergency. And I had the opportunity to assist the individual who was having a seizure on the plane. And I'm feeling grateful because in the midst of me, transitioning, to be here to support my family member, to support myself, I was able to move outside of my own suffering and still be present and supportive to someone. So feeling flexible in that way and noting that, I can hold my pain, I can hold, this experience that I'm going through. But there's still a lot that I have to give. And I don't have to just focus on, this difficult, experience. And so have a lot of gratitude for having that mindset shift.
Thank you for sharing that. It's eye-opening for sure, to be in this place and remember gratitude. Trevette?
Hi, I just walked into the house. As most of you know, my daughter passed away on March 5th. So there's been a lot of traveling and a lot of family stuff, and we just came back from a family gathering. And so someone was speaking about flowing in, and I think that I'm not just flowing into the next phase of this program, but I'm flowing into the next phase of my life. And I'm grateful to have spaces where I can just be human and continue to make some meaning of my life. I think that without that, I would most certainly fall apart. So what I've learned in the last 6 weeks about IFS and parts work is how to allow the part of me that's sad to be sad, but to also honor the parts that continue to want to live and be happy and pursue goals rather than just lay down and do nothing. I hope, as I've always hoped, that my life experiences, whether they're good or bad, can permit me to learn something and share something with others, so that no matter what I've gone through or whatever I go through will be meaningful and helpful, and that I can support others in some way in a unique fashion because of my own experiences. So I think that Marilyn said that what she thought she was going to do as a result of this program may have changed. And I'm guessing that some of the things that I thought from the time I wrote my intentions, a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, has most certainly changed. I thank you all for being here and for being supportive. And I, as much as I'm going through and I've been through, I am still wanting to be treated not with sympathy but as a human being and a person who has lived experiences in the same way that everyone else has them. Thank you.
Thank you, Trevette. And I hope you're okay with us giving you love and support, and wishing you continued endurance and faith during these times. And I hope that our time together can be healing, not only to you, but to all of us, including Julie and me and others involved. Aman, if you're able to talk.
Hello, my name is Aman. He, him pronouns. I'm calling in from Oakland, California. Really happy to be here. I think I'm echoing a few people when I say that I really respect the knowledge, strength, and experience of everyone here. And I'm truly looking forward to collaborating with each of you, or just spending time with each of you, however long or short. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Aman. I believe I mentioned everyone's name. 3 individuals told us they weren't going to be here. 3 others didn't make it yet for some reason. And then a fourth one will join us at the top of the hour because she's teaching early afternoon, our time here in the East Coast. So before I just share with you some opening remarks, I would like us to maybe take a silent moment of self-reflection, just so that we can, having heard from all of us, maybe just come together, bring our parts together, call upon qualities of self, and whatever parts need to be heard, to come to the virtual room together. If you feel like turning your video off, feel free. It's just a moment of self-reflection, if you don't mind. I invite you to do that with me. Thank you. Thank you. So by way of context, I'd just like to remind us that this program that has been conceptualized and designed by the Foundation for Self-Leadership is really the Foundation's modest attempt to contribute to deeper healing and well-being in our world, emotional, relational, societal. Hi, Gabriela, I just noticed you. Good to have you with us. And, we got here with the help of quite a few individuals who thought with us and coordinated with us, and with the funding from a few generous members of this community. And we do it because we believe that we cannot stand on the sidelines as we observe our world today. And we think that people like you, with the great work you're doing, could benefit from being together, from exploring some new ways of looking at the world and ourselves, and support each other as you do your meaningful work out in the front lines. So IFS is what we had to build around, right? That's what we focus on, not as an end game, but really as a tool, as a vehicle, as I'm going to share in a moment. This phase is really the continuation of that phase, but a continuation in a different direction, in a deeper direction, in a more applied, practical direction. And before we get started, I really want to tell you a few thoughts about our disposition in this second phase, in this next phase. Julie and I come to you really with gracious humility. We have learned from you by just talking to you and listening to you and reading from you, perhaps more than you have learned from us. And we bring this perspective with us as we go. I mean, something that Gibran said in the Prophet sticks in my mind, and that is, we're not here to bid you to enter the pillars of our wisdom, no matter how short and frail these pillars are. We're really here to invite you to cross over the threshold of your own mind and heart. I'm paraphrasing. So this is why we're coming with you with. Julia and I are not psychotherapists or activists formally. The level 1 trainers were psychotherapists, but not activists formally. So we come to you knowing that we're going to learn from you, and hopefully you'll learn from each other and from us a little bit along the way. We come to you with deep concern about our world, the one we live in, the deep polarization, the very extreme polarizations we see, the threat that the dialogue experiences every day, right? You're with me or against me. We can't talk any longer, it seems like. The injury repairs that never happen over centuries that need to be addressed somehow. So the world is in turmoil and in pain and probably doesn't recognize it. And if it does, it's not able to repair its injuries itself. So we have that concern and we feel we need to do something about it. And yet we come to you with resilient hope and optimism because we believe that the world can heal itself. We believe in the core of humanity, that goodness will prevail. And looking at your faces and what you're doing, I believe even more so today that this is possible. Because we're going to do what we can do, maybe not more nor less. And then hopefully the world will learn how to heal itself. And because of you, we come to you with abundant appreciation and great anticipation for how you're going to contribute to that world in terms of healing and greater well-being. And we come to you with sharp clarity that it's not about IFS. That we're very clear about, right? You don't see me holding the banner of IFS and chanting IFS, IFS, IFS. It is the common thread, it is the common bond, but it's one of many models. And all of you have used other models and modalities and approaches and paradigms and tools, but it's a tool in that toolkit. And we feel that is a window, a lens that resonates with people and is intuitive and is accessible, and it might help enhance our leadership approach, and it might facilitate healing. And I want you to know we come to you with an open mind. That yes, we have designed a phase 2 that many of you, as you said earlier, are curious about and maybe anxious about. I want you to know Julia and I and others on our team are curious about this just as much as you are and anxious about it just as much as you are. Because we're not attached to the result, to the outcome. We're attached to the flow, as Leah said earlier. We want to be flexible, adjust to the needs of the group, and make it possible for you to do your work in this next phase. We really come to you as listeners and observers as much as we want to share and guide. We come to you with greater sensitivity and understanding, having heard some of the issues that emerge in level 1. We know we have our own issues that might show up perhaps here and there. And we want to be sensitive as we discuss them. And, you know, we want to support each other and be able to hear each other openly as we go through this experience together. So this is the context really for this next phase in terms of our attitude and disposition. As I may have told each of you, my job and Julia's job is to create an environment with you for you to do what needs to be done so that you can come out of the other side of the fellowship more enriched, more comfortable, more connected, maybe even more ready to do what needs to be done. What you had intended to do or changed your mind about along the way, like Marilyn and Trevette said. And this is your program, it's your experience, with us being there to make it possible for you. And Julie and I come to you with who we are, right? I mean, just a few words about me. I'm a a cisgender male with a lot of privileges and a few legacy burdens from my culture and my family. I grew up in a civil war that took away my teenage years, but didn't snuff them out. I lived my teenage years the way many of you did, except I did it in a civil war in Lebanon. I'm of a Palestinian mother who at 16 had to evacuate Jaffa, Palestine with their family, leaving everything behind, pursuing a safer environment. I came to the US many, many years ago for graduate school, and I dealt with many, many moments of shame and guilt and embarrassment during a time when US nationals were being hijacked in Lebanon and car bombs were causing damage to the US embassy and stole the lives of 240 US Marines. I'm an immigrant of Arab descent that dealt with the effect of 9/11, even though 9/11, and even though that doesn't compare in any shape, way, or form to the experience of those who lost their lives or lost loved ones. And I have to tell you, I don't know if it's brave or unwise. I just plugged through, and I never, looked at this as a less than, because I believe in the core of humanity that I have, and people can tell me stuff, and I'm gonna have to deal with it. So that's who I am. I'm a scientist, not a therapist. I'm a spiritualist by choice, and a humanist, and an obsessive peacemaker. And I'd like Julia to say a few words about what shapes her.
Hi, it's nice to officially meet all of you. I know I've certainly inundated your inboxes, but I'm Julia. I am on the outside a very heteronormative family. I'm married and have 2 kids, and we live in Charlotte, North Carolina. But I'm also a first-generation immigrant. My parents were born and raised in Poland, and we came to the United States by way of South Africa. We were there for a number of years. And I grew up in a very small town in Maine, very upper class. And so I have, for the better part of my childhood and early 20s, always felt like an outsider. And the way I kind of dealt with that was through academics and school. And so I decided to pursue sociology, and I did all the right stuff, focused in on gender and racial justice, and got a great handle on that from the academic point of view. And then I joined the foundation in August, but prior to that, I was working in politics and public health for too long, well over a decade. And that was more of an eye-opening experience than I ever imagined. I have now fully understood just how broken the political system is, and also fully appreciate, for lack of a better word, exactly what it means to be a woman in politics. And so while I have very many privileges, too many to enumerate, I have experienced being the outsider, and also have an understanding of kind of buck up and move on with it if you want to make it through the day. So that is a little bit about me.
Thank you, Julia. Just last week, I was very pleased to see that for the first time since the beginning of the State Department and the OMB and the Census Bureau identifying races as social constructs. For the first time, people like me from the Middle East and North Africa can actually choose the MENA race. So I look at you and I appreciate the lived experiences you bring in and the struggle that some of you have had to fit in the social constructs that governments set in place, and as a result, systems of isms build around those. So we're here to break that trend, to look at the human core and to appreciate that while parts of us might be different, maybe there's some universality of self. And that's who we are at the core, to the extent we can call that in and try to loosen the grip of our parts on ourselves. Thank you for listening. I just want to say a couple make a couple logistical comments. And I just noticed Gloria. Welcome to our midst, Gloria. Good to see you.
Oh, thank you. I thought we started at 2:30. I hope y'all hadn't been on too long.
Since the top of the hour. That's okay. Good to see you. Glad you're with us. Just in terms of what lies ahead, as a quick reminder, we will be sharing with you what we're calling a general framework for a plan of action. Just a series of questions for you to start thinking about. And we'll start the conversation later today in various breakout rooms around these elements, because our intention is really for you to end up with a plan of action toward the end of this phase. When I say plan of action, I do not mean, a corporate-like plan of action, 20 pages. Could be one page, could be one paragraph, something that will guide you, your own map, right? Because nobody in this virtual room knows what you need to be doing in your own community and how you're going to be able to engage as a leader in that space. So we invite you to take a look at that document when you receive it and start thinking about it as we move forward throughout those 6 months. Like I said to some of you, the level 1 was like theory and discovery. This phase is like application and implementation. That was the classroom, give or take. This is the laboratory, give or take. And we're going to make of it whatever together we can make of. And another word of logistics, there is a stipend, as you know, that's attached to this fellows program. I think we may have shared it with you by email. It's being given to you in 4 installments. We need to send an email to each of you. It's probably going to come to the whole group. I'm going to invite you to respond to it individually to Julie and me as we will instruct in that email, accepting that these are the expectations to be abided by. We have to do this for auditing purposes, and we also want to do this for awareness purposes. And what we're saying is we hope all of you will join as many sessions as you can, and we'll explain in this statement what happens if you don't. You're all invited to attend physically the annual conference in Denver. And then we'll be also giving you a travel stipend toward that. We will be talking at some point together whether there could be a panel of fellows, sharing your experience with the community then and there. So please take a look at the Institute's website, and if you're able to make it, please start reserving your space, and then we'll go from there. Any general questions on the logistics so far? Or anything I said? Richard?
Thank you. One quick question on logistics for the conference. If we were to go, like if it works for our schedule or whatnot, is there a code or anything that we need to use to register? Or are we paying and then reimburse? Like, how would we?
That's a good question. I think, your fee, I believe, is going to be waived, but that's a very good question logistically. I have to get that information for you. Thank you. Leah?
I have parts who are like super aware of when working on things like the end goal in terms of how to put this. You talked about the panel, and that's kind of what dinged this for me. Our projects, is the expectation with our projects that they're going to be made public in some sort of way?
This is our decision together. There's been no discussion ourselves regarding this. The plan is for you. Your plan is for you. If the group decides this is something worth sharing, we can certainly work a system, by which we can share it. On the last day of when we meet, I can't remember the date, September 21st, maybe the very last Sunday in September, the fourth Sunday in September. We're going to have some invitees, some guests. And, we might decide that some of you might share some thoughts, and those thoughts might include some of the work you're going to be doing. But right now, this has not been addressed or decided. Again, this is a decision to be made by the group. Does that answer your question, Leah?
Yeah, and I think just a follow-up question, like I
Please.
know that when the foundation kind of announced the fellowship, like we're all up, our bios are up, like it's used that way. Is there an expectation from the funders or from the foundation or from others that like, even in, I guess, extending that question into that space, like will our projects be used on the website or, in terms of eliciting more for future fellowship
Yes,
folks,
yes.
etc.?
Well, at some point, I might invite you to share some thoughts with future cohorts. I'll tell you what has been decided so far. I have worked very hard, maybe wisely or unwisely, I cannot tell, to shield you from the funders. Right? Often funders of grants and scholarships want to meet the people, My point to them is you didn't fund people. Our people are not fundable. You funded a program, right? So that was my message. And I've kind of played, interference. And we've kept them informed about progress, about where things are and what we're doing. And we try to be transparent. So do we want to share specifics with them? At this point, I honestly do not know. And I'm going to come to you to discuss that if it's something that you want. I'm sounding like a broken record, but that's really my message to you, that a lot hasn't been decided on purpose. Other questions, comments, thoughts? Trivette, you have, I can't see, yes. There's a dark brick behind you, so I couldn't see. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is. I was thinking that there are some of us who have thought about collaborating in terms of our projects. Is there a platform for us to do that, or do we just do that individually? I mean, as some of us have talked about collaborating. We live in different states, obviously. We're doing different things, but some of what we're doing is compares with what other people are doing. And so my thought, what I've told people is that I don't feel like I need to reinvent the wheel. If other people are already working on projects that I can also implement in my community and add, specifics for my community, I am all about that. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, I mean, when Julia and I discussed some of the logistics, we thought that, if you're talking about technology, you can certainly use, the various Google platforms, to share stuff. We can certainly set you up to do that. Our thinking is when you meet in your affinity groups, when we finalize those, you're going to have an opportunity to figure out whom to share with and how to share it and how to collaborate. And you're going to be able to hear from each other over time. We're going to invite everybody to share along the way, starting next month, so that you'll get to hear what everybody is thinking and doing. And that hopefully will allow you to make connections.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have anything more specific at this point. So, not seeing any more hands up, let me jump to this next phase, which is creating the container that Zinat mentioned earlier. It's very important for us to really agree on what the expectations are. And I just have some some thoughts I'm gonna share. I'm gonna do that through a quick a few slides just so that I can guide my thinking around it. I assume you can all see my screen. And I won't stay here long because I want to see you rather than the slide. So two things are important to us: that the right space is what we establish together, and that together we establish that space, right? So it's not something that, we're imposing. It's something that's going to emerge from the collective. And what's important is that we're in this process, everybody can be heard, seen, recognized, appreciated, honored, valued. At the same time, it's important to balance that with the needs of the collective, so that we might spend time supporting an individual, all of us. We do not want to do it in a way that leaves the whole collective behind. It's like, and this is a balance, a very delicate balance that all of us need to strike together. The question is this going to be a welcoming, comfortable, and safe environment? Is this a brave space? Is it all of them? And as I was thinking about this, it occurred to me that there's a nice poem many of you may have heard, by a thought leader, sometimes referred to as a thought doula, on brave space. And I'm going to ask Julia if she can to read to us that poem, which I thought was a very nice way to set up our work together on this container. Julia?
An invitation to a brave space. Together, we will create brave space because there is no such thing as a safe space. We exist in the real world. We all carry scars and we have all caused wounds. In this space, we seek to turn down the volume of the outside world. We amplify voices that fight to be heard elsewhere. We call each other to more truth and love. We have the right to start somewhere and continue to grow. We have the responsibility to examine what we think we know. We will not be perfect. It will not always be what we wish it to be, but it will be our brave space together, and we will work on it side by side.
Thank you. This is by Mickey Scotsby Jones. So since right now we're on Zoom and our ability to connect is by speaking, by turning on video on or off, by our facial expressions, I'm just posing these questions for you to think about. May we, as we speak or express our feelings or turn our videos on and off, may we strive to own our perceptions and feelings and separate between perception and facts. May we express in our communication either no judgment or blame or attempt to reduce any opportunity to place judgment or blame. May we remember that hearts have ears. I think that's clear, that we do not only hear with our ears, we hear with our experience, with our biography, with our legacy burdens. Might we try hard not to negate the other person's view or experience and use appropriate pronouns to express where we're coming from? And as you all know, may we mind the gap between intention and impact. I might have the best intention in the world. How what I say lands with you might have a very different impact than intended. And I need to be very cognizant of that. And I want to say that, I'm not the expert here. You folks do this, some of you day in and day out, you teach that stuff. And you know exactly how to create such spaces. So I want to ask you two questions. And I want to invite you to start putting in chat some of the answers. I'm going to show you both slides. I'm going to turn the share screen on. The first question is, can we identify together the characteristics of the desired space we want to create? And might we pledge together the kind of behavior, the kind of language, the sort of attitude we need to have together in order to preserve, sustain, and honor that space that we want to create. So these are the two questions I'd like to ask, and maybe for efficiency purposes, we can answer them in chat, and then we can try to see if we can, from these various ideas that you're going to share, if that environment emerges, and we can say, this is it. This is what we're going to pledge together. And I invite anyone else who does this for a living to facilitate that sort of thing to feel comfortable jumping in and helping us and help us get there. So what are the characteristics of the desired space as you see it? Feel free to type up in the chat your thoughts. If you're compelled to say something, please do. What do you think the space should look like, feel like? What's critical for there to be there in order for the space to be brave and safe and comfortable and supportive? Any thoughts? Are there certain, is there certain type of, language or elements that we need to be using or not using? Things we need to be doing or not doing? Who would like to read what's been shared so far?
I can read for you.
Please.
We have open-mindedness and kindness. Okay to seek clarity and understanding. Mutual respect. I want us to create a space where we strive for self-energy intentionally and do regular U-turns to ensure that we're being as self-aware as we can be. Openness and curiosity, compassion, self-led as much as possible. Working, learning, collaborating, respectful, reflective, and accountability. To me, it is important to use our IFS training and any other training we have to intentionally separate ourselves from our beliefs and emotions when others are speaking so that we can maintain a level of curiosity and so that we can be purposefully non-judgmental. Trust that we have the best intention in mind. Assume positive intent, be willing to take responsibility for impact that might not match one's intent. Call in culture. No power hoarding, shared power. Self-led, 8 C's, especially compassion. The space has the shared strength and compassion to hold true to all parts being welcome and resourcing each other when behaviors aren't helpful. A space where everyone is treated with respect and courtesy as members of this family of humanity. Honor this time together as valuable. And when a part is activated or triggered, we use tools independently or in small groups to work through it, rather than bringing those burdens to the whole group setting. I don't think I missed anyone. If I did, let me know and I'll go back.
Thank you, Richard. Does anybody like to comment on any one of these ideas that were shared? Emphasize, affirm, say this stands out for you.
I think for me, emphasizing that, we each have responsibility for bringing awareness to our own system, and as such, taking care of our own systems. That doesn't mean that we do that in isolation, but perhaps, thinking about who in the space might feel like that safe person that when there is a need to do a U-turn, and that U-turn might necessitate, someone being present, with a nervous system that feels right for you, identifying that person in advance and maybe, informally, coming to an agreement with that person that, can you be that person for me in, time of need? And so that, the space is still taking care of each other, but yet the whole space is not pausing and being impacted because again, when one part is activated, so many other parts are activated, right? And so that would just be my share.
Any additional comments or comments on what Latasha just shared?
I do think that the importance in being intentional about what we are saying to others, not that we're being phony or or just saying what other people want to hear, but that we practice as professionals in what all of the fields that we're in to be intentional about our words that we say so that they're more, it's easier for other people to swallow them. And then you don't have to apologize for how you feel or for what you say, but certainly if someone is strongly impacted, again, like Latasha said, I think it's really important for us to reach out to the person. I think I draw along my 12-step programs when we have wrongly said something, that we go right back to the person and we say, listen, I didn't mean to say that way. And you take just individuals rather than hold the whole group hostage with hurt feelings. We are adults, I think, and we are professionals foremost. And it's important, especially if we're going to go working out in the community or if we work in the community, that we have the ability to represent ourselves as, I'm not all knowing, I'm not all perfect, and I can also be apologetic genuinely, even if I meant what I said, but certainly not how I said. And I think one of the things that happened is in our level 1 training, we weren't able to do that. We couldn't separate ourselves from our emotions and our feelings. It's important in this phase that I think we are able to do that so that we can all get what we need out of it. And I hope I said that okay.
Zinat?
Thank you, Tawfiq. I would like to make space for anybody who disagrees with any of these or has a different point of view to speak up, because I think it's really important as we build the container of shared values and shared intentions, that there is room for dissent or disagreement, and this would be the time. So because it seems like I see a lot of heads nodding as the values were coming up. Consent and buy-in is really important to hold that the integrity of that container. So I'll pause there. Without putting anybody on the spot and with the intention of entering into dialogue and figuring that out.
Yes, thank you. So I'll echo that. Did anything you heard from Richard or Latasha or Trevette not land well with you? Do you take exception, to anything you heard? I mean, the intention here is not to spend time coming up with 5 or 7. The spirit of this is clear. So, but if someone has an issue with something that was read or said, this is really an opportunity for you to share it to the extent you're comfortable doing so. Anna?
Sorry, took me a while to unmute. Yeah, I totally agree with everything that has been said so far. And there's a part of me that wants to highlight the importance of what is happening here. And excuse my birds, they get really loud. But I just want to highlight how amazing an opportunity this is. That thank you, first of all, Tufik and Julia, for sharing who you are at a deeper level, because before that I didn't know, especially Julia, I didn't know much about you. And it's important to have that context. And I think thanks to technology and also the beautiful intention that Tufik, Julia, whoever is the team that has made it happen, we are having this amazing opportunity to kind of like create something more beautiful in a world that is hurting. Like you said, Tufik, there's so much hurt that is happening right now. And I think all of us here want to see something better, right? So I just want to kind of like bring that in the forefront of our mind, that this is an amazing opportunity we're having. And I personally have a philosophy, take what you like, leave the rest. But I also know that a lot of things are going to be triggered for many of us. And I've had the opportunity to be in different BIPOC spaces. And what I see there is a lot of pain that comes out. And that's okay. That is important. That's who we are right now. I want us to use this as an opportunity to see what's the healing that needs to happen, first of all, personally, and then as a community. And to be able, I love what Natasha said about identifying, maybe it's not, if the entire group is not a safe space for me, who in this group can be a safe person for me, and maybe use it as my way of helping myself to regulate or come back or whatever I need to do, so that I can bring as much self energy to this effort as possible. Just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Anna. And I noticed that we're joined by iPhone. I don't know if that's Anesi. That's Gabriela. Okay.
No, it's Gabriella. I had
No,
to push my phone.
no worries, no worries. Other thoughts? Again, like Zinat said, we want to make sure that nobody has any concerns about what's been said. You can affirm what's been said, or you can take exception to it. It's very important from where I'm sitting that all of you, unanimously agree to that container, build that container together. And what's been shared is some sort of a structure, a format, the boundaries, if you wish. And it's very flexible boundary. That's what's beautiful about it. We're not putting us in a box. It's a breathing box, if anything.
I have one other thing to say. I think that it would be helpful for me, and I don't know for everyone else, if periodically we could check in either in our affinity groups or even in the large group to ensure that that we're feeling that this is on task. Because I do have a part of me that is task driven. And so I don't know if other people have those parts or if it's just me, to ensure that we're also being compassionate and understanding and all of that, but also we're on task, so that at the end of this period, I feel like, and I'll just speak for myself, I have been able to achieve at least some or most of what I wanted to achieve during this phase.
Any thoughts about that? Any parts think differently? Dominique?
I think what comes up for me around that idea of the task-driven part, I definitely have that part, so that resonates with me. And I've found, especially in IFS environments, that the way I expect to get something, and the way that specific part expects to get something doesn't always happen. Sometimes it comes differently than I expected. And so I've had to get more comfortable with allowing whatever is happening to happen, and like asking that part to relax so that things can unfold the way they are going to unfold. And then later I find like, oh, that actually, you know, did give me what I needed, maybe just not in the way that I expected. So to be maybe more concise, I think that we should make room for that part, but I think that there may be times that we need to ask that part, our collective task-driven part, to relax. And I think that we're probably going to have to leave space for both. Like there are going to be times where we have maybe a collective polarization in that way. And we'll have to choose in the moment, but that's kind of like what's coming up for me is I don't want my task-driven part or our collective task-driven part to be the priority. That feels more like, to be honest, that feels more like white supremacy culture to me. Like the idea of being productive being the most important thing. So I'm thinking I want to introduce some balance to that idea.
Thank you, Dominique, and thank you, Trivette. You know, I think the opportunity before us is to, I hate to use the term walk the talk or whatever it is, because IFS is not the thing. But in the spirit of IFS, the spirit of the model, if all parts are welcome, and if truly, and this is Tawfiq now speaking, it's not just about us being self-led, because I don't necessarily buy into that notion, but I believe in the notion of our parts being self-led. Because if you think about it, we live our agendas and our work through our parts. And we need our parts to be the best they can be, to be influenced by self. So we want to be able to invite all the parts in the room to come together, and we want to be able to figure out together how, by learning applying the notions of the model, we can negotiate this depolarization or this rapprochement, bringing people from different places together to kind of understand each other and appreciate each other, and then come up with a solution that might work for one, in one instance, and might work for another one in a different instance, and so on and so forth. So I see that beautiful tension, and it's healthy as long as we're aware of it and we're able to talk about it. And I think I want to say welcome to Anisi, because I see her phone number. If you cannot speak, that's okay. We just want to say welcome. Other thoughts? Do we think we have in its loose formation some membranes of this environment? I think, Gloria, you had your hand up, if I'm not mistaken. It's hard to see everybody all the time. Please, go ahead.
Okay, my thought was that I would hope we would get to the point where we feel safe or brave, whatever, in the larger group, not just in our smaller groups, that we can. I think with IFS, I felt safer in the group that when we got together in the smaller, but not in the larger group. So I'm hopeful that there's not as many of us, that we can get to feel comfortable wherever we are with each other. And the other thing is, I feel safe for myself. I don't feel like I'm going to be damaged or anything like that. However, sometimes I do hold back some of my thoughts, not because I don't feel safe for myself, but I feel like there may be others in the space who would not feel safe if I said that. I don't know if that makes sense, but and I hope we can get to the point where we can really talk and speak, and everybody be brave enough to say, I can take whatever's going to be, whatever comes up in this conversation or in this group. That's where I am.
Well, thank you. And I would invite comments to in view of your comment. I will say the following, if I may, that I hope we will too. And what an opportunity for all of us to figure out how to do it, because all of you are going to be facing similar situations, if not more difficult ones, in your communities, your groups, your organizations, where you're going to be doing the work. This is by and large a friendly group. There'll be issues, there'll be things said, there'll be injuries, and we'll work to repair them, right? But my point is, this is a friendly group. What a great incubator for for the work that needs to be done out there with the knowledge of IFS. However, I want to invite, any comments or thoughts in reaction or response to what Gloria shared or what's been heard so far. Well, hearing none and looking at the clock, I would like to see a show of hands, whether real hands or emoji hands, that this is the container. And what we'll do is we'll write these words down and we'll call it our container with all its, grammatical variation. Short sentences, long sentences, doesn't matter. I think you are basically saying you have a container. We'll take it and we'll create a document like someone's asking, Latasha, thank you. And we'll call it our environment, and it can breathe, it can change over time as we need to. This is your creation. Do I have a show of hands? Okay, anybody resist that? Any concerns? Okay, the hands have it. We have an environment. Congratulations. Okay, so here's what we're going to try to do over the next few minutes. We're going to try to shift and finalize the affinity grouping that you started with Julia's help last week. And I'm going to ask Julia to just maybe set it up for us. I'll say the following. Even that is not set in stone. However, we want to try to have groups that have no fewer than 3 and no more than 5, I think is what we said. So that we can have conversations, so you can have diversity of opinions, so you can have vigorous engagement and disagreement where appropriate, and passionately figure out to resolve things. Because we want you to vet your ideas together and be able to share things in these smaller groups. And to the extent you can, work between sessions. Again, it's an invitation. Some of you said in the survey you couldn't do it. Invite you to work together in between sessions as you zoom in onto your plan of action. So Julia, could you set it up for us and so that folks can get started?
The link is in the chat. If you could click on it, it'll take you to the page.
And then what's on that page? Just a reminder for us, please, Julia.
It's the breakout groups as they were quote unquote assigned, but then also how they were changed. So everyone, from my understanding, has had a chance to review the group. So the hope is that you could review it one last time, and if you'd like, go ahead and make changes.
Yeah, so please take a few minutes, do that, and then Julia will share with us the final document. And then again, we'll do it by show of hands, your approval of the affinity grouping. Thank you for doing that. And we basically asked those who didn't find exactly their group to stretch the best way they can to find another group that makes sense to them, based on the people in it, based on the subject, based on the relationship between their work and that subject, that sort of thing.
Tufik, I think there are two hands
Leia,
that are
thank you.
raised.
Leia, you have a question? Feel free to jump in if your hand is the only hand. Sometimes I can't notice, sorry.
I think I just wanted to voice something in case anybody else was coming up against it. It was tricky for my part to choose based on topic without having an understanding of what was the nature of the work? Because I think there's the general topic, but then there's how we're orienting to it. What is our role? Like, and
Okay.
I'm not saying we need to make it overly complicated by all of us kind of running through our ideas, because I'm sure a lot of us are still very much in the very loose kind of conceptualization. But I think I just wanted to name this was challenging and ask, after we get together in these, we're spending time in these groups today. Yeah.
Yes, you are.
I feel like my request, and I totally get if this feels too complicated and it's a no, but would be to start to talk with people in affinity groups and not cement it until after we've had a chance to sort that out a little bit.
That's fine. It's not even cement. It's putty. So you can mold it the way the group wants. Yeah. Thank you for these thoughts. And what we did to explain, we basically took what you had shared in your applications, what you shared in the survey. That was the very first round, and then we adjusted them based on your input. And we know that it was hard in some cases to understand. Okay, but remember, this is a professional affinity group, community-facing affinity group is what I'm calling. Okay. I don't know if people are done making choice. You want to share your screen, Julia, and see where we are? I mean, everybody can do that individually as well, but I'd like to be able to see. Okay, so there you have it for now. We have 6 groupings with anywhere between 3 and 5. And please identify that. I know after the break, which will be very soon, Pilar will set up the breakout rooms based on these. I'm sorry, Ty, you're not in the group, or you are? I see you, yes, okay. So, like I said, we can play with this today and try to have it finalized by the end of the meeting or by next time, no later, or in between. So please take a screenshot of that, or you have access to the link anyway. So welcome to your affinity groupings as they now stand. So we have just a few minutes before the bottom of the hour. I'd like to actually encroach into your break just for a few minutes. I want to first ask you how long of a break you would like. The reason we inserted a break in here because our friends on the West Coast and other places probably need to eat something. If they're uncomfortable eating during the session, maybe they can eat during this break. So I'm of 2 minds. Having a 30-minute break, you can stretch, take a quick power nap, eat lunch, take a bio break, do a couple jumping jacks, whatever you end up doing, or make it shorter and then use that time for you in your breakout rooms and other exploration. I don't know what the will of the group is. We should have done a poll, but how many of you would like to see the full 30-minute break? And we'll stick to this to the best we can every time. Okay, I don't see any hands. How many of you will be comfortable with 15-minute break? Is that fit for 15 or for 30, Gloria? A lot of 15.
15, please.
15, okay. So we'll do 15 minutes in 10 minutes then. And maybe we'll make that happen. And for those who wanted more than 15, hopefully you can adjust with us and be patient with us. Thank you. So what I'd like to do actually before the break is really take that time to decompress, as I promised you, to really create a bridge between the previous page of the level 1 and the current page of the phase 2. Anything you'd like to share openly, there's no discussion here, just thoughts, feelings you want to put on the table, concerns that are lingering, good feelings that you you'd like to express, just a way to transition from level 1 to this next phase. In my conversation with you individually, I've heard of some specific stories, some concerns. I cannot be the one addressing them. I can, however, create that place for you in this new container to share openly and compassionately and honestly, with love and respect and kindness, whatever you want to share. So we can do that for 10 minutes and then go into our break. Richard?
Sorry, didn't mean to have that back up.
No problem. Leah?
I think one of the things that I'm really kind of hearing from my parts right now is a lot of excitement to see us all on a screen together within a community spacing that's more our own, right? It is our, like, it feels like there's a lot more potential for my parts, and I think collectively for it to be a self-led space. Because we're not under the agenda of, in the case of the level 1, like, okay, we had to get through the level 1. And there was a lot of factors in that for my system weren't always comfortable. Whereas this feels like, I think somebody said it in the chat, this feels like an opportunity for a new start and coming in with new energy. And yeah, I'm excited. I am rediscovering the excitement that I had last summer when we all first kind of got together, and it was like, oh, so many cool people interested in so many cool things, thinking about things in ways that just light me up. So just wanted to share that there is some delight happening in my system, that I am rediscovering that.
Thank you. Delightful. Maybe we're ready for our break, are we? So why don't we take a 15-minute break? That means we come back at 47 after, and then we'll get on with the next piece of the agenda. We'll see you shortly. So as you'll see in the document we'll share with you later, we start with community and we start with leadership. This is your community. Whatever community you end up choosing,